Okay, let's try this again. I'm not going to start over the chapter. I'm just going to keep reading from where I was, which I'm on page 142 out of, I think, 288, I think. 230 pages. 130 pages, 231 pages. $233 pages, and I'm on page 142. So I'm just gonna read. Nope, wrong button. Getting everything set up. Alright. Oh. Okay. Alright. Hello. You know what? You're here. That's enough. I'm just going to start from where I was. Talked about a guy got shot. Mars the doggo. Hello, Mars. There was a knee. There was an arm and a gold wristwatch and part of a boot. He could not describe what happened next. Not ever. But he would have tried anyway. He would have spoken carefully as to make it... I don't know why I keep trying to use this, because I'm trying to use it to keep track, but it's making it worse. It's making me reading more staggered, so I'm gonna... Bye. Okay. There were bubbles where Kiowa's head should have been. The left hand was curled open. The fingers were filthy. The wristwatch gave off a green phosphorescent shine as it slipped beneath the thick waters. He would have talked about this, and how he grabbed Kiowa by the boot and tried to pull him out. He pulled hard, but Kiowa was gone, and then suddenly he felt himself going too. Poo. I'm just gonna say poo. The poo was in his nose and eyes. There were flares and mortar sounds, and the stink was everywhere. It was inside him, in his lungs. And he could no longer tolerate it. Not here, he thought, not like this. He released Kiowa's boot and watched it slide away. Slowly, working his way up, he hoisted himself out of the deep mud, and then he lay still and tasted the poo in his mouth and closed his eyes and listened to the rain and explosions and bubbling sounds. He was alone. He was alone. He had lost his weapon, but it didn't matter. All he wanted was a bath. Nothing else. A hot, soapy bath. Circling the lake, Norman Boker remembered how his friend Kiowa had disappeared under the waist in water. "It didn't flip out," he would have said. "I was cool. If things had gone right, if it hadn't been for that smell, I could have won the Silver Star." A good war story, he thought, but it was not a war for war stories, nor for talk of valor, and nobody in town wanted to know about the terrible stink. They wanted good intentions and good deeds, but the town was not to blame, really. It was a nice little town, very prosperous, with neat houses and all the sanitary conveniences. Norman Boker lit a cigarette and cranked open his window. 7:35, he decided. The lake had divided into two halves. One half still glistening, the other was caught in shadow. Along the causeway, the two little boys marched on. The man in the stalled motorboat yanked frantically on the cord to his engine, and the two mud hens sought supper at the bottom of the lake, tails bobbing. He passed Sunset Park once again, and more houses, and the junior college, and the tennis courts, and the picnickers who now sat waiting for the evening fireworks. The high school band was gone. The woman in pedal pushers patiently toyed with her line. Although it was not yet dusk, the A&W was already awash in neon lights. He maneuvered his father's Chevy in one of the parking slots, let the engine idle, and sat back. The place was doing a good holiday business. Mostly kids, it seemed, and a few farmers in for the day. He did not recognize any of the faces. A slim, hipless young car hop passed by, but when he hit the horn, he did not seem to notice. Her eyes slid sideways. She hooked a tray to the window of a Firebird, laughing lightly, leaning forward to chat with the three boys inside. He felt invisible in the soft twilight. Straight ahead, over the take-out counter, swarms of mosquitoes electrocuted themselves against an aluminum pest-rid machine. It was a calm, quiet summer evening. He honked again, this time leaning on the horn. The young car hop turned slowly, as if puzzled, then did something to the boys in the Firebird and moved reluctantly toward him. Pinned to her shirt was a badge that said, "Eat Mama Burgers." When she reached his window, she stood straight up so that all he could see was the badge. "Mama Burger," he said. "Maybe some fries, too." The girl sighed, leaned down, and shook her head. Her eyes were fluffy and airy light as cotton candy. "You blind?" she said. She put out her hand and tapped an intercom attached to a steel post. "Punch the button and place your order. All I do is carry the dumb trays." She stared at him for a moment, briefly, he thought. A question lingered in her fuzzy eyes, but then she turned and punched the button for him and returned to her friends in the Firebird. The intercom squeaked and said, "Order." Mama burger and fries, Norman Bowker said. Affirmative. Copy clear. No Rudy Tooty? Rudy Tooty? You know, man. Root beer. A small one. Roger Dodger. Repeat. One mama, one fries, one small beer. Fire for effect. Stand by. The intercom squeaked and went dead. Out, said Norman Bowker. Then the girl brought his tray. He ate quickly, without looking up. The tired radio announcer in Des Moines gave the time, almost 8:30. Dark was pressing in tight now, and he wished there was somewhere to go. In the morning, he'd check out job possibilities, shoot a few buckets down at the Y, maybe wash the Chevy. He finished his root beer and pushed the intercom button. Order, said the tiny voice. All done. That's it? I guess so. Hey, loosen up, the voice said. What you really need, friend? Norman Bowker smiled. Well, he said, how'd you like to hear about... He stopped and shook his head. Hear what, man? Nothing. Well, hey, the intercom said. I'm sure as heck not going anywhere. Screwed to a post, for God's sake. Go ahead, try me. Nothing. You sure? Positive. All done. The intercom made a light sound of disappointment. Your choice, I guess. Over and out. Out, said Norman Bowker. On his 10th turn around the lake, he passed the hiking boys for the last time. The man in the stalled motorboat was gone. The mud hens were gone. Beyond the lake, over Sally Gustafson's house, the sun had left a smudge of purple on the horizon. The band shell was deserted, and the woman's... What do you need? Do you need something?
No, it's just...
Do you need something?
No.
Then get out. Thanks. I'm trying to breathe, bro.